Hey everyone, Smash Bro Pit. So I'm kind of bringing back my campaign review. I kind of enjoy making the videos. I think it's kind of fun to kind of share my opinion on what a good campaign is and what a bad campaign is. So today we're going to be doing Battlefront 2. And I kind of look for certain things when I go into a campaign. Every game I've ever played, if it has a campaign, I'll judge the game pretty heavily based on that campaign. The multiplayer is just fun craziness for me. I don't really care too much about it as far as how good the game is. So so I'm going to kind of just give my first opinion of this game, and then I will go into why I overall think of just Battlefront 2 in general, because I have a lot to say on that, and I'm sure a lot of people know where I'm going with that if you've been watching my channel or if you know me at all. So first off, what we're going to go into is the ability to engulf a player into the game, and I don't feel like they accomplished this at all. I don't really get engulfed into it. It's another Star Wars story. There's a lot of them where, like Knights of the Old Republic or Republic Commandos, where you can get sucked in immediately into the game. This one, not really. You're always being called Commander Verso, Iden, playing as Iden Verso throughout the story. The story is basically what Hollywood has been beating into the new series and apparently now the new games, where it's, you know, the same thing. It's a person decides, oh goodness, my whole life hasn't been lived correctly. I better change it up, fight for the light side of the force, not the dark side. When a lot of people who I think have read and studied a lot of Star Wars lore would probably agree that there really isn't a very solid line between good and bad. The Jedi are just as guilty and the Sith are just as innocent as their counterpart. So I feel like the storyline and the ability to engulf the player is just the same beaten thing that's coming out with the new Star Wars movies and this game. So, you know, that's kind of a letdown. Next would be to get the player to kind of just have feels to kind of care about what happens to the actual player themselves, or the character that they're playing, and their companions, the people that they play with. And in this game, it really just doesn't happen. This isn't a game that really tells a full story. I feel like they really tried to do a Republic Commandos type game, and they really did not hit the mark, if that is what they went for. I don't know why it was called Battlefront 2, but I'll get into that more later. Mechanics compared to multiplayer, there are several things in this campaign that you can't do in multiplayer. One of them that bugs me the most is you can't roll. Rolling and dodging is a really fun aspect of multiplayer, being able to roll and just take out guys and roll around and just be a crazy little gunner, and it's not present in the campaign. I mean, you can't do it, and it kind of takes a lot out of the gameplay. You feel a lot more like just a stiff walking skeleton. Like, you can crouch and stuff, you can be sneaky, but the sneaky aspects really aren't that great. The actual storyline itself, and this is kind of where the spoilers come in, you start as Iden Erso, you do a few missions for the Empire, then you realize, oh no, the Empire's bad, you play a mission as Luke, and then you kind of just join the rebels, and they just don't second guess it, even though you got captured in the first place at the very beginning of the game on purpose to be a little spy and steal some intel and just be a crazy person. But they don't second guess you, they just let you immediately into the ranks as a high ranked officer just fighting like crazy against the Empire. The freedom of choice or realistic objectives, I feel like the objectives for the battles are actually pretty good. You know, stopping reinforcements, backing up where needed. A lot of games can get that down pretty easily. You know, basic mission objectives are usually pretty easy to do. The freedom of choice, there really isn't a choice. This is one of those games where I would have stayed as the Empire and joined the First Order if there was that choice, but this just wasn't that kind of campaign, so I understand that totally. Choices that make an impact on the campaign, I feel like this game really just doesn't hit that, because I don't feel like they wanted to. I don't feel like that was something that was actually supposed to be part of this campaign, so I'll give them a slide on that. As far as difficulty having an impact, like an actual impact, I feel like all they really did was change the amount of damage you take per shot. I always, whenever I play a campaign the first time through, I always play it on easy to kind of just get the story, get everything going, you know, just kind of enjoy it for what it is, and then you know, then I'll play on a hard difficulty and see if it actually makes the game harder and actually a grind, which it did, but not nearly as much as I feel like other campaigns can. It was a challenge, but not a major challenge. I feel like as long as you hit your headshots, you're basically good to go, and that's how a lot of campaigns are, so I understand that too. The cutscenes in the campaign are obviously high definition, good quality, but they're just, it's like you're basically watching the movie and then you occasionally get to fight. And the Inferno Squad is just not that great of a campaign. I wouldn't really tell people to buy this game for the campaign. I would say play it for the nostalgia of Battlefront, because you can get Battlefront on your Xbox. It is a backwards compatible game, but it is not the multiplayer. So I would say play for the multiplayer. The multiplayer is not bad. I actually enjoy it quite a bit. Better than Battlefront 1 that they made, the new one, obviously not the older ones. And yeah, play for that. The flying didn't really improve, I feel like, because in Battlefront 1 you had to just use your left trigger, lock on, and then it was not too hard to take players down from there. On this one, they don't have that. It just zooms you in, but now your guns can auto aim to anyone near the cursor, which I feel like is just not a huge improvement from the first Battlefront. So now we're going to go into what I think overall of Battlefront. So what I think overall of Battlefront 2, I don't think it should have been called Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2 and the original Battlefronts made in, I think, like 2003. They were games that told a story, and it wasn't of a single person who made a choice that changed the whole galaxy because they all suddenly got a conscience. It was a story of an army. It was a story of brothers in arms. It was a story of the collective working for an end goal, which was to stop the Clone Wars. And it was an absolutely great campaign. It had cutscenes that weren't even that great, but it told the story. It had a voiceover narrative that told you.
The success of the mission on Megiddo was something of a revelation for the men of the 501st. Suddenly, we realized that the Jedi could be fooled. And if they could be fooled, they could be.
It had a voiceover narrative that told you a story, and it actually explained a lot about the clone troopers, because the original Mandalorian Captain Clone Donator, Jango Fett, there's a mission in the campaign of Star Wars Battlefront 2, the older one, where you fight on Kamino, and they basically turn the clones against the Empire, trying to fight against them. And so basically you're dispatched to steal the cloning technology and then destroy the facility. So you can make clones, but the Emperor decides that having all DNA placed under, like, making his whole army, that's dangerous, because he did that before and he was able to turn the whole entire army against the Jedi in a second. So he decides to use a more diverse pool of donators, which can actually explain a lot about Star Wars if you think about it, like how Finn became a stormtrooper and stuff, you know, and like how everyone's like, oh, well, he went to a camp and got trained, and like why that does happen. A lot of the stormtroopers are clones, and Battlefront 2 explains that they basically just use a different donator. They use a bunch of donators so that they couldn't all be programmed to turn against the Emperor like he had them turn against the Jedi. And just the whole entire story behind Battlefront 2, the original one, was so good. It was about the rise of the Empire and the fall of the Jedi, and then basically capturing Princess Leia as Darth Vader, and just so many cool missions. And then also the multiplayer was amazing. I mean, before the servers went down, it was probably one of my favorite things to do, was go online and just do like assault on Tatooine. You know, so many nostalgic memories there that we just don't get from this. So I feel like if they would have named this Star Wars Republic Commando, because Star Wars Republic Commando, like, they didn't even have to name it that. They should have just said Star Wars Inferno Squad, and I would have accepted it much better if they hadn't called it Battlefront. In Star Wars Republic Commando, you play as the captain of the Commando Squad. I am trying to remember all the characters. I think there's like 07, 40, man, I can't remember. I kind of know more by their names, which is Sev, Fixer, and Scorch. And you are, I mean, they call you so many things. You're basically just the captain of the squad. They call you so many names in the game. Your squad does. And that game, I feel like, would be the one to compare to this one. And it is, you are a squad, you're fulfilling missions, you're a covert squadron. And I feel like if you were to hold those two games together with their storylines and just the campaign in general, I feel like Republic Commandos could blow this game out of the water easy. The amount that you start to care about your unit and like just try and keep them alive, and the ending where spoilers, but I mean the game is so old I don't know if it's spoilers at this point. Sev gets captured, and Mace Windu and Yoda are ordering you to fall back with the rest of your squad, not to chase after your brother who you have gone through so much with throughout the whole entire game. And they just left a major cliffhanger. And so with EA doing this, I feel like they could have reskinned the Battlefront and probably been better, made more money, had a more loyal group of players if they had just remastered the old Battlefronts. But if they were going to do a story like this, they could have done like a little scene where they meet, just one of the old Commando squads and like one of the members, like Scorch or Sev or Fixer, or the captain himself, which it says his name, but I don't remember it because they call you so many things. Usually it's just squad lead, but they could have any of them show up here and just like give Iden advice or something. Be like, listen, kid, like, don't always trust your your orders can sometimes just not come from the right place, cannot be correct, you know. And another thing that I like about campaigns is when they are the exact same as the multiplayer as far as mechanics go, which is exactly what the old Battlefronts did and Republic Commando, except for in Republic Commando, you would get lobbies where it'd be like there are snipers only, and snipers are instant kills no matter where you hit, and they were called like Insta-Niv servers, and they were really fun servers, and that's actually why I started this channel on, was playing that. But so I feel like they had a very, very good start. They had a really good thing. This game overall is not that bad, but I feel like just because of the title and what they try to do to it, and the campaign being the same narrative, because the huge thing about this one was we're adding a campaign. You guys wanted a campaign in the last one, we're going to give it to you in this one. And the campaign just fell so short, because I think a lot of players who played Star Wars games or watched Star Wars movies as, you know, younger, like as teenagers or children, like I was probably somewhere around the age of 8 or 9 when I first started getting into Star Wars a lot. To say that this was a campaign and calling it Battlefront 2 and saying this is Battlefront 2's campaign, the nostalgia of the old Battlefront just came flooding back, and as soon as I saw the first cutscene for this campaign, I was just like, no, this is not correct. This is not how it should be going. This is not the game it should be. And I feel like there are probably at least a good handful of other players who got the same idea, and so, you know, it was really hard to push out, because if you have the exact same title, Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, you got to deliver. So when you're trying to hold up a new game that you have developed against the old game that was created, you need to blow that old game out of the water. You need to make them not even miss their nostalgia and just go on to this new adventure, and I just struggled to do that for this campaign. So I honestly just did not enjoy this campaign at all. But anyways, that is my opinion and my review of Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's honestly not that great because I just don't have much to say about this. I just don't like it. I don't feel like it's good at all. I feel like it was just a money grab because of all the new Star Wars movies to get all the younger kids who didn't have the nostalgia to buy it and get into it with all the new stuff and all the new sceneries and battlegrounds that we've seen in the new movies. But I feel like for all the older players, this game just fell very, very short of what we were expecting or wanting of a new Star Wars game. I've heard rumors that they're remastering Republic Commando. A group of game designers are. They're going to be releasing it on computer, so I don't know. Maybe check that out. That might be good. They're like building a huge multiplayer battleground with all that stuff, with all the original stuff from Republic Commando. So rumored. Like, that's how it's been rumored. I don't know honestly what it's going to be like. But yeah, with that, if you have a campaign that you want me to review, and if I have that game, I will totally do it. I think the next one I'm going to do is either going to be the main quest lines of Fallout and Skyrim, or I might jump into Call of Duty World War II, which I actually enjoyed. So, and then I'll do like Battlefield 1. And yeah, with that, have a wonderful day. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below on whether you agree with me or disagree with me on this campaign. I would say overall 1 out of 10, I would probably give it a 3 or a 4. I honestly just did not enjoy it. But yeah, with that, have a wonderful day.